Today's episode is one of the most serious romance scam stories we've covered on this channel. When people hear the words romance scam, they usually take it to mean someone met a fake person online, fell in love, sent money, and then found out it was all a lie. But Jennifer's story goes so much deeper than that. Jennifer wasn't just emotionally manipulated. She wasn't just scammed out of money. She was pushed to the point where she had to sell her home and ended up giving the proceeds to the scammer. And then, after taking so much from her, their criminals allegedly tried to use her to move and launder money. That means this is no longer just a dating scam, it's a criminal operation. The FBI got involved. And when Jennifer started questioning what was happening, the situation became even more frightening. According to Jennifer, the scammers threatened her sister, they threatened her two nephews, and they used specific names and addresses into scaring her to continue the money laundering process. This is not romance. This is coercion. This is intimidation. And it shows just how dangerous these scam networks can really become. What makes Jennifer's story even more powerful is that she didn't just hide in shame. Jennifer started learning. She wanted the cyber training so she could better understand how these scammers operate, how they manipulate victims, and how people can protect themselves before it's too late. Jennifer, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show. I know this is not an easy story to tell, but I believe your story is going to help so many of our viewers. So thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Good. Excited to help people in any way that I can at this point.
Well, thank you, because it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. So let me lead by asking you this question. What was your life like before you came in contact with this gentleman who ultimately scammed you?
I think back on it, I really had a good life. I loved where I lived. I had a lot of friends. My dog and I were living in this beautiful house overlooking this beautiful mountain vista scene. I could watch the sunsets every night. It was very
Wow.
relaxing, honestly. I had everything set up where I was making money, the income, and I had made it. But I worked really hard to get there. I deserved it. And by the time I met the scammer, I was still working on my real estate investments, and I was in the middle of remodeling one of them. Then I posted a few pictures on Instagram about my home remodel, and
Okay.
then the scammer contacted me on Instagram. So honestly, it taught me that if I show off a little too much on social media,
It
look at
makes
my house and all these beautiful finishings that I'm putting into my house, that can be a way that scammers can know that they're dealing with somebody who has money.
So it made you a target.
Yes.
Very, very good point. And if I can back up a little bit, were you looking to date? Were you lonely? Were you content?
Just broken up with my partner of 5.5 years, back in October. And then I met the scammer in April and was, I guess, looking. Yeah, probably I was looking.
Okay. And you actually met on Instagram, which isn't known to be a dating app. So that probably gave more validity because you're just networking and getting to know someone. So how did you guys first make contact? Can you tell me how this played out?
I first met the first guy, Eric Johnson, on Instagram in December 2021. I had been single for about 3 months, and it was close to Christmas, and I guess I was feeling a little lonely, but I wasn't necessarily looking at that time. But his picture got me, I have to say. His picture, there was something about, he seemed to me like kind of everything I was looking for. And just when we talked, he was very love bomby and very good at conversation.
And do you think his profile was purposely put together to match yours to show some continuity between you and him? Looking back now.
Looking back now, it seems like there was something that was meant to match with mine.
So they made it almost a match in heaven, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened with Eric? He was the first gentleman that you had a scam-like relationship with, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead, please. What happened?
And this is just how it can get you unexpectedly. I never responded to any other weirdos, any strangers getting into my sighting into my DMs. I immediately deleted and blocked them because I wasn't interested. If I didn't know you, I wasn't interested. So I was already vigilant, and I didn't care about strangers coming on to my page and trying to me and be friends with me and go out. I was only caught off guard because it was right before Christmas. I'd just been at a family gathering and everybody had their person, and I was like single at the time. So when Eric first contacted me out of the blue, it was December 1st. I remember it was days before Christmas, and I just felt lonely. He caught me in a vulnerable moment. I just walked in the door to my house, and I was feeling like, I wish I had somebody, I love my family more than anything. And then there was this other way to potentially grow the family, this beautiful, handsome person.
It's interesting because you're a very intelligent, smart woman, and you said something was very important. Anytime you sensed that somebody was a little scammy, you blocked them. You got rid of them because I'd probably say a good third of profiles on social media are scam profiles. But do you think Eric sensed your vulnerability? Do you think purposely that he knew it was Christmas time? This is statistically when most people feel lonely if they don't have a mate. And they played off that?
Probably. And I later found out like he was working for somebody, so he was getting all the tips and tricks and had the playbook, the standard playbook. But yeah, it seemed like he caught me at a time when I had a few days off from work. I wasn't working. I was like suddenly missing having companionship.
And
And
tell me about Eric. What did he say he did for a living? How old of a gentleman was he?
so he was 40, a little bit younger than me. His parents had both passed away. He grew up in Finland. None of this is true. He grew up in Finland, which was really neat, but he lived in New York City, been there for 20 years. After his parents passed away when he was in his early 20s, he moved to the US and started working in real estate.
Okay, so, and at the time you were living in the Carolinas, if I remember with our phone conversation. So basically the distance wasn't that bad. You could actually meet in person. And did you ever suggest, hey, Eric, let's meet in person? I'd really like to see you.
Yes.
What happened there?
So I suggested that I would even go up there to New York, even though I was busy remodeling my house and trying to get it done before New Year's Eve. I said, okay, maybe after New Year's, and then we'll meet up in January. My birthday's January. I would like to see you. And this was after a few weeks of talking every single day, and there was a lot of starting to be kind of feelings there. And he was, yeah, let's figure it out. And kind of played it off. And then he had to suddenly go to a job site overseas in Rwanda.
Rwanda. And what did he say that he did that he had to go to Rwanda? What kind of job?
Engineering thing.
Okay, we hear that one a lot. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit because you had told me that there were two individuals that you've dealt with. This gentleman, when did you realize that this gentleman was a scammer? And how did you realize that?
So Eric had been talking to me from December 21st till about mid-April. And he had already, in that time, talked to me every single day. We had done like a quick FaceTime. We were falling for each other by January or so. It was pretty fast, a couple weeks. And then in February, he told me about an investment opportunity with Bitcoin where I could make a lot of money. And he knew that I had houses, and I said, okay, well, I have some savings that I'm willing to put towards this, but I need to save some of my savings for my house remodel, and we can consider more down the road if this works out, if this looks, if it makes the kind of money you're talking about it making.
So did you open a joint Bitcoin account with him?
I already had a Coinbase account, and I was already doing some investing on cryptos. I'd already been investing in the stock market and crypto. I kind of rode that big roller coaster with Dogecoin and made $25,000 in like 2 weeks. It was kind of crazy.
Wow. But good for you.
Yeah.
So did you participate in this Bitcoin deal?
Yes, I put in $100,000.
Okay. And
not all at once, a little bit, and then a little more, and then like a $80,000 chunk.
Okay. And were you able to log in every day and see what's happening with your money?
Yeah.
Or was he handling that?
No, I had a login and password, and he let me set all that up. He showed me pictures of where my money was and how it was invested and how it was growing.
Okay. So let's fast forward just a little. When did you realize that this isn't really a Bitcoin purchase here? This is a scam. What happened?
He introduced me to his boss, Liam Stevens, who was in charge of it all. And Liam, I told him I wanted to take the money out because I wanted to buy another house. And then with some proceeds, I would maybe reinvest, that it was going really well and I wanted to take it out. And he told me about the tax that was required to get the money out, which was totally made up. There were no lawyers. There were no, his lawyer needed me to pay some more taxes in order to get the money out, but all the money I had was either tied up in real estate or this investment. So I didn't have any more in my bank account to put into paying these taxes. And when I did try to pay a little bit, like I paid he said, well, just $500 then, let's just start. And I paid that. And then he said, it's going to have to be 500 more. And I was like, what? Ridiculous. I've never even heard of this anyway. So it would have been 500 more, 500 more, 500,
Yeah, it would have went on forever. And were you seeing an account statement that would show that your 100 now has become 200, 250,000?
Yeah. It was 273,000. And he was like hanging it over my head like a carrot. Don't you want this back?
Absolutely.
Don't you want this back?
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what ultimately happened with that? When did it dawn on you that, hey, I'm being scammed?
Probably like I was starting to question it after a month only, like things that weren't lining up with their stories, the two of them, or with Eric himself. Some of the conversations just didn't make a whole lot of sense about him being in Rwanda and then the time zone, yet we could talk all the time. And I'm pretty sure there were more than one of him.
I was just going to ask you that. So when you look back at the text, you were probably talking to 3 or 4 individuals?
Yeah. And I know I was with Luis, the next guy.
That's crazy. Okay, so you come to the realization that this is a scam, and unfortunately, you're out $100,000. What happened next?
I told them both that I didn't trust them anymore and that some mean words were exchanged on both sides.
I bet.
Yeah, they called me stupid and gullible and naive and all the things that maybe Americans might target towards me, but just if you do that, you're just like the scammers.
So they were basically admitting to you that you had been scammed. Is that what I'm reading? Am I reading that correctly?
They were admitting to me that I was naive and an idiot and fell for it.
Wow. So they didn't just disappear. They wanted to kind of, excuse my expression, but rub it in your face a little bit before they disappeared. Is that correct? Wow. That is the first time I've heard that. And that's just horrible. So we cut ties with Eric, and I guess there's no way you could reach him or find out anything about him at this point.
He tried to get back in touch with me 8 months later, and it told me that he was a young man from South Africa, Johannesburg, who was trying to protect his sisters from being sex slaves. So that's why he needed the money.
We're going to get to that in a minute because that comes with your education, and that's a fabulous story. It's amazing what you did. So at this point, you break ties with Eric. You decide to go on Tinder, the dating app, and tell us what happened.
Because at that point, I was lonely. Like I had just been essentially broken up with, betrayed. However you want to describe it, it felt like a breakup. Like a lot of the emotions that happen, and I know that some of your other past participants would say, it feels very real, like totally real. The same chemicals are going through your brain that are when the person is standing there in front of you. So I couldn't tell the difference at one point between reality and fiction, fact and fiction.
I'm going to back up. Let me ask you this question. It just popped into my head. So we're 2 months past with Eric. Did you still wake up in the morning doubting yourself? Maybe he was real. Maybe he did love you.
Like, did I cut off my true love? Yes, probably I was still hypnotized to a degree. I was still roped in, still missing him. Yes, I was missing him.
And what you were still hoping for that happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It happens to everyone. I can completely understand that. Okay, so now we decide to go on Tinder and we decide, all right, I'm starting out fresh. I want to meet someone. Tell me what happens.
Well, I'll back up for a second and say with Eric and with Luis, this next guy, they really paint a beautiful picture of your life and how it's going to be. Like all the things that you're going to get, all the experiences you're going to have together, not just the love, but all the things they're going to give you and travels that you're going to get to be able to go on. I mean, they literally let me write my own story of like, where would you want to go and what would you want to do if money wasn't an issue? And that'd be beautiful if it was actually true. But the fact that it was a lie, they were using my own imagination to play tricks on me.
So basically, an adult version of a princess story is what they create.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
they're sharp. They're sharp. And we've touched on other episodes how they actually hire professional psychologists to come in and teach them how to trigger these chemicals in the brain to get very normal, sensible people that are every day in their business world, very no nonsense. They trigger these chemicals to convince these people that they're in love and to turn over their money. It's brilliant. It is absolutely. And here's the most amazing thing to me, Jennifer. These people don't even live in our country. So they know us better than we actually know ourselves in a lot of respects. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they're tapped into raw human emotion, which
Okay.
maybe in America we've like learned to kind of move past because we're go, 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 we're ambitious and busy in this culture, but they're based out of countries where there's just it's maybe a little more desperate, but it's like raw human emotions that get involved with that. And I guess I am a trusting person. I feel like that was my biggest crime. I don't think I fell for anything. I don't think I was an idiot. I think I trusted
You were a
and
good person.
yeah.
You were a very good person, just like our two other ladies that we interviewed. Just hearts of anyone I've ever met. And I sense that with you too. So tell me about Louise. How old was he? Was he a good looking guy? Did he live in the US?
So yeah, this is where like my heart part was really more, it wasn't an investment. It was a true romance scam with Luis. And it wasn't that he was good looking. He was just, his picture was just like a very normal man. It was like, seemed mature. And at that point I was like 45, I think. So I was like, okay, I love your gray stubble. I love your sunglasses. I love your, you know, let's be normal aging adults together.
Okay.
So he was like 48, a couple years older than me. Didn't mention anything about children. Had a wife who cheated on him, and he'd been divorced for about 2 years or something. And he had been playing around with dating, but like hadn't found anybody serious until he met me. And then he felt like I was the one, and it was serious. And I was the one that was a little more cautious now at this point because having been through what I'd been through with Eric. I wasn't like all in at all. I was a lot more cautious.
Where did he say he lived?
He was in LA.
Oh, okay. And you're still in the Carolinas at this point, correct?
Yes, but I traveled to LA, and I think it picked up I don't know,
You mean on the dating app when you move the
yeah,
GPS coordinates?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, that probably is the situation. So I have to ask you, obviously, this guy with these great sunglasses and this gray stubble, you want to meet him in person. How did that work out?
Well, I had to go back to North Carolina soon after meeting him online. And so I wasn't thinking, let's meet right away. I just wanted to, like I said, I was a little more guarded and a little more standoffish. I did think it was smart to meet, but I thought maybe he could come to me this time. And he said he would. That's how a lot of that happened, was that he was going to come to North Carolina to see me.
Okay. So at this point, would you say you're emotionally hooked? You're in love with Louise?
No,
Yeah.
I'm still getting over Eric.
Oh,
Still.
interesting. Okay. So when do we get to the point where Louise has hooked you in? You're committed to him.
Let's see. He was very good at, coming up with a story too. He wasn't a orphan, but I don't know where his parents were. I think New York. He was raised in New York or something, supposedly. And he told me all about his schooling and his education at the University of California in Southern California. I forget the name already, but he was telling me a lot about his life and his choices. He was also an engineer, which is like red flag. Don't date engineers.
Yeah. And oil rig workers. They seem to go hand in hand with
Or
the dating
oil rig
scams.
workers. Or Army, Navy, or,
All right.
people in the military.
Exactly.
Or doctors, or, there's
Exactly.
certain people
So to
that.
our viewers, please take note of that, please. It could save you thousands. Okay.
Yeah.
So things are moving along and you're talking every day. When did he start talking to you about building a commitment, about building a life together?
I feel like we were maybe so we were coming out of the COVID time period. It was like April 2022. And I wanted to do some traveling, and I guess he really used that as a selling point, that like, where do you want to travel? And then he started talking about, speaking of traveling, he needed to go to Dubai to do a job out there, and that I could come out there at some point and meet him.
Okay.
Or that's how he got out of going to North Carolina to see me, so that he had to go to Dubai for work.
And how long was he going to be gone?
A few months, but a few months turned into 2 years because we talked for 2 years.
And he was in Dubai the whole time, or supposedly in Dubai.
Yeah,
Okay.
supposedly.
So you talked for 2 years. How many months, how many years were you in the relationship before the first request for money came or the first emergency situation appeared?
So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I sent him money in November, so it's 7 months.
Okay. And what was the money for? What did he say? Hey, hon, I need money for this. And what was it?
Yeah, it was this great investment opportunity in Dubai. I think I was like pretty, I guess, hypnotized, or it's just the way that they build you into so much conversation for so long that then you trust that what they're saying is true. And he's sending pictures of the job site and pictures. I could log onto his bank account and see that he had $5 million in there. And
Wow. Wow. Very similar to what we've seen with our other victims. And how much did you first send him?
so the investment was like 67,000. This is a random number. I don't know why. It probably translated more accurately into his actual money wherever the actual country is that he lives in, which is probably South Africa.
South Africa. Okay. And we definitely are going to touch on that because it's amazing what you were able to do. So, were there additional requests for money? I mean, you're in this relationship now, I guess about 8, 9 months when the first request comes in. So, play it through for me. What happens next?
Okay, 67,000 was gone. That was in November. I hit a really low point. November 2022, I lost the other 67,000, which got my bank account was back at zero. I was really financially struggling at that point, but I had the house I was living in and one investment house next
So,
door.
you're still talking to him every day, but he's told you, look, that investment I told you about won't bust. Did that create tension between you, or how did that play out?
No, he kept saying he would pay me back. He kept saying, "Don't worry, it's going to come back to you and more."
Okay. And again, this is a guy that has shown you bank statements where he has over $5 million in his account.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like I logged in, I could look at it.
Okay. Did he say he put some of his own money into this investment also? I mean, he had $5 million in his account.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty in, he said, with this investment. And then when he got to Dubai, his account was locked and he couldn't access his $5 million, but he needed to be able to pay people. So I think that's where some of my money supposedly went, or that was part of his story.
Okay.
His story. That's not what happened to it, but that was his story, that he needed to pay he needed to pay out so that he could
Bills.
finish this job, so that he could sell it, so that we could share the profits.
Oh, you were going to share the profits. So there was the return on investment. I see. Okay. So obviously he says he's going to pay the 67,000 back. When does the next request or the next emergency situation appear?
So in June of 2023, I sent him $250,000 that was sent all at once. I'll never forget. I'd pulled over on the side of the road to do it, and I knew I was making a mistake. I just knew it, and I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, I wish the bank lady she did tell me that, crypto's a scam, and
And be
the
careful of
bank
it.
lady told me that. Be careful. Just thought she was out of touch and old fashioned because she didn't know about Bitcoin, because she was like in her 60s, and mostly younger people know about Bitcoin because it's like or whatever, but that's not the case. She was right. And I should have
And
looked.
was this 250,000 in cash assets that you had sitting in the bank, or was this something you had to liquidate?
I had to liquidate my last house that I was living in.
So you cared enough about this guy that you put your home up for sale and liquidated it and basically made yourself homeless. Where did you live after that?
I moved in with my family, and my family were also very worried about all this too. And, they tried to warn me too. In fact, my sister said, "I need this guy's a scammer. I need you to stop talking to him right
Okay.
now."
And did he suggest to you that you should put your home up for sale, or was that something
Yeah.
you freely? He did. Wow. And at first, did you tell
Yeah,
him
they'll
that?
stop at nothing. They'll stop at nothing.
That's
Literally.
amazing. And did he know the house was up for sale and what you sold it for and what you were getting? Were you open with him about that?
No. So this is the interesting part. And this is how I know that they do their research. I can actually verify that him from overseas, wherever he was, Dubai, South Africa, wherever. I kept it a secret that I was selling the house. I never told him when I got offers. I never told him when it closed. I never told him what I made. I never told him what I profited. I never told him that it was in my bank account. I never told him a single thing. I kept it from him because at this point I already knew something was wrong. So I was like
So,
withholding information from my partner, husband, and he found out. He said, "I know you sold the house."
so you were really liquidating these funds to make yourself whole. He hadn't asked you for money at this point then, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I needed some more money in my
Yeah.
account. I needed some better cash flow.
Well, I've been
Now
there.
with
I can completely understand where you're coming from.
yeah.
So the money's sitting in your savings account, money market, whatever. How long is it sitting there before he hits you with, "Hey, I know you sold your house. Why did you keep this from me?"
So I sold it in April of 2023, a year after knowing him, and he knew through probably one of these many tools that we use to verify that I have now since used to verify people's stories and make sure they're telling me the truth, which is like Truth Finder, catfish.org, and some of these others, people finders. You can find out anything about people anymore, and it's on record. So I can go online and find out what my next door neighbor owns in assets and real estate. It's kind of
Yes,
scary.
yes, you can. I've heard, and I don't know if this is still the case. You can pay $15 to the IRS and get a copy of someone's tax return. That not even your own return, someone else's. I don't know if that's still the case, but I know in the 1990s that was the case. I hope they've stopped that. So you're right. I mean, we are fully on display. We are like a digital billboard on a highway,
Yeah.
and it's an unfortunate situation. So, did he guilt you, make you feel guilty that you were going to hold on to this money and keep it from him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He cried. He was like, "Where is the trust? Where is the love? How could you do this to me? How did you not just feel like it? I'm your husband. Don't you think it's important to share this information with me about the house?" And like, I would have given you advice about, I mean, I just can't believe you just did this without talking to me first and consulting.
That's interesting. Now, you've referred to him twice as your husband. Were you legally married?
No, 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 no. He called me his wife, and it's part of the manipulation. I'm sure that's what the psychologists tell these guys.
Yes, they
Call him
do.
your husband. Go ahead and say your husband and wife. Go ahead and close that deal.
You are so right. And that technique to show disappointment, cry, shame you for keeping something from him, that is one of the biggest techniques that they use. And it looks like he did it and he deserved an Oscar for it, is what it sounds like.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was really, really slick.
Okay,
Really,
so
really good. He never wavered in his story. I mean, Eric and Liam wavered in their story, and I saw red flags and was like, this isn't lining up. But Luis was like a 5-star actor.
yeah, that well
Deserved the
trained.
Oscar.
Well
Very,
trained.
very, yeah, well trained.
All right, Jen. So you send 250,000 and you know in the pit of your stomach, I am making a mistake here. What happens next?
I mean, because I had planned to put that money into a long-term asset. I'd talked to my sister, my CPA, everybody was like, you have to, this is your last chance. You've already lost a bunch of money, because I had told them, because my CPA had to do my taxes, and she's, scolding me and telling me, you messed up once, don't do it again. And so the plan was I was going to put this into an ETF that pays back like 5%.
Hmm.
Could have done it under my LLC and made 6%, I think.
Very safe investment. Absolutely. So now you don't have the chance to do that. Louise has the 250,000. Is he gone at this point or are you still interacting with him?
I'm still interacting with him. What changes after that is that he says he's going to get a plane ticket and come and see me. And then fast forward to, I think it was August, 2 months later, he was on the plane. He was on the plane, and then he was quickly escorted off the plane by security and taken to a questioning room where they took his passport and wouldn't let him leave the country of Dubai and of the UAE. And all his more assets were frozen, and they took his but essentially they took his passport.
What was the reason they pulled him off the plane, supposedly?
He didn't tell me everything, but he played dumb. Like, I don't know what this is about. I don't understand. I don't know why I've not done anything wrong. It wasn't about like the gold and the diamonds.
Okay, so let me paint the picture here. The 250,000 is gone. Is his bank account of $5 million still locked up? Or
Yes.
was it okay? So when they pulled him off the plane, everything's frozen again. And what happens next? What does he ask for?
Well, he knows I don't have anything. So
Okay.
at that point, I'm crystal clear that I don't have anything more. I don't have any more money. I don't have any more properties to sell. I'm tapped out. That doesn't deter him at all. This is why there's no lengths to which they'll go. He started trying to launder money through me. So he saw me as tapped out, but hooked in. So I'm still a channel of money. He just has to get creative and get other people to send me money and send it through me to him.
Jen, I have to stop right here and just tell our viewers, when we spoke by phone last week, your story could be a New York bestsellers story. I mean, it is just phenomenal. You had everything: romance, crime, drama. The only thing that was missing was espionage. And maybe there is some as we talk today, but it is, and I don't mean to laugh, but this is horrendous what you've been through. It
It'd
is
be an
absolutely
exciting
horrendous.
drama, show, movie, documentary, something. Yeah, it would be.
The viewership would be through the roof. So now he's turning the table. He wants you to move or launder money for him.
Didn't say it like that. He explained, and I told him, I was
Of
like,
course not. Yes.
this doesn't sound legit. And he's like, I absolutely know these people. This is absolutely legit. Everything is fine. They're friends of mine. They just can't send it directly to me because my account's locked up. So they have to send it to you, and you can send it to me through Bitcoin on the same platform we'd been trading on at that point, which for Eric, it was Coinbase, and for Luis, it was Gemini. Same thing, just different preferences, I guess. And when they show you what to do, they are masters at their app. So for some other people, it might be crypto.com, or nobody wanted to use Robinhood, which is funny. You can't send it. That's more like protected or something.
It is. There are more safe faves on that, so you're absolutely right.
So invest on Robinhood if you're going to do these. Not any of those others. They haven't made it safe enough. Like I've deleted all I still have access to all my history, but I don't trade on those platforms anymore.
Okay. So he said how much money was going to be showing up. Did it go into one of your accounts, or did he make you open a joint account with his name, your name?
No, not with his name on it, but yeah, he asked me to open an account. So I had Wells Fargo for the longest time, personally had Wells Fargo for 15 years, never an issue, ever, ever, ever. There was never a problem with Wells Fargo until he sent me something like $60,000, and I was supposed to send it on. And when I did, I sent it on to him. But then later on the back end, there was a claim, and this should have been a red flag, and it was. There was a claim from whoever sent that 60,000 to get it back. And so then they got it back from the bank, and then my account was negative 60,000.
Wow. So in other words, it didn't go through to him. Is he irate at that point?
Does
he say, hey,
he did
what
get
happened?
it.
Oh, he did get it.
He got it.
Okay.
There was this middle time between before the bank could catch it, that it was fraud, and stop it. It had already cleared my account, and I had already sent it to him. So my account was back at zero. I shouldn't have kept it. I should have kept it and given it back, which I ended up doing the next time because I learned from this mistake. So
tell me about the next time. So how much did he tell you was coming into the account the next time?
So there was another attempt to send me 121,000. It also did not work. And there was another attempt to send me 96,000, and it also did not work. And these were different banks. I had a Bank of America account. It didn't work. They closed it. They closed the Wells Fargo account. They closed the Bank of America account. The banks did, because they were fraud. And then First Citizen, they closed that. At this point, I had no account left. I had TD. And I kept telling them I can't open any more banks because they've all closed, because this is just not going well. I don't know what you're involved in, dude.
So you're flagged now. It's hard for you to walk into a bank and open up a legitimate account, because remember, when you opened your account, you had the surrender identification. So they have all that on file. I know that just with clients that I work with. So
so I can never open an account with Wells Fargo again, or Bank of America, or First Citizens. I mean, they
absolutely.
Even though I didn't wrong. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough. So tell me, what does he do at this point? Does he say, "I'll just try this bank, try that bank"? What happens?
So we tried Chase, because it's a big one and lots of money can move through it. And I'd never banked with them before. So we opened a Chase account. Then that is fast forward to September of 2024. at this point. So a lot of the littler amounts, like the 60 and the 121 and the 98, those were small compared to what came next. Those were small compared to what he had up his sleeve in September, which was $319,000 ended up in my account. Just randomly one day, just popped into my account.
And it cleared. It was sitting there. It was seasoning in your account.
Yeah.
So this one got through. Absolutely. Now, that's ironic because just doing the math in my head, that's probably about the amount of money that you had given him, 250 plus the 67.
That's really smart of you, because that's exactly how much
That's
I
what I
gave
thought.
him. And that's exactly why I was like, this is a sign. This is why I hung on. I didn't tell him this, but I was thinking to myself, this is why I hung on. I got the money back. Yay, I got the money back. And I did a happy dance and told my
So-
family, don't worry, I got scammed, but I got all of it back. Everything's fine now.
So it's sitting in your account. And did you think, all right, let me open another bank account and transfer this money out and just disappear from
Yeah.
Louise?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What happens next?
Oh my God. So this is the part that I feel like I need to put my seatbelt on for, because it all happened really fast. Like 3 crazy things happened in September. Boom, boom, boom. September 6th, I get this money into my account. Ironically, it's the exact same amount that I had been stolen from by him. And at this point, I knew he was a scammer. But I had that in my account, and I was like, good, I stole it from the scammer. I'm not going to send it to him, and I deleted and blocked him.
If I can stop you and then you
Yeah.
can continue. You said, at this point, I knew he was a scammer. When did the light go off?
With some of those money laundering attempts,
Okay.
probably it was the 250,000. I was already like really on the fence, but I was still hoping and really, really believing and wishing and trusting. And then the first money laundering attempt of 60,000, when
Okay.
that got
Pulled back.
when that all happened, when he didn't come on the airplane. So it was like August, September, October of 2023. I was like, this is not normal at all. Like, I am mad. I'm sad. I'm all the feelings. I can't believe I'm pretty sure I've been stolen from. All that hard work has just been drained from my life, my bank account. What am I going to do? Oh my God. I was
How
feeling really
horrible.
desperate. And I
So-
shared a lot of that with him, and he was sad for me, but he really didn't care. He was like he was playing the long game with me. We'd still be talking to this day if this next thing hadn't happened.
So you've decided at this point you're going to keep the money. You know,
Yeah.
you told your family, look, I've been made whole. I don't know how it happened, but I'm keeping the money. What happens?
Okay. So I kept it and transferred it into my new bank account. Yes. So it was like hiding. I was like hiding it, but there's no way to hide from these financial institutions. They can check. They know what's going on. I mean,
Yes, they do.
they have it. It's all traceable. It's also all traceable with Bitcoin.
It's probably more traceable with Bitcoin, actually.
More traceable with Bitcoin. It's just not backed by anything. So if money's lost by a bank, there's insurance. It's like FICO or something like that protects banks
Yes.
from losses. But with Bitcoin, there's nothing to back it, nothing to protect it. It's unregulated. It's the
Okay.
wild, wild west. So this is perfect for criminals.
So how long's the money sitting in your account? Louise contacts you and says, are you going to transfer this money to me?
No, because I blocked him. So I blocked him and deleted him, and I should have changed my phone number. But actually, what ended up happening after was the moral and ethical thing to do, which was that I had to go to the FBI because I was starting to get death threats from him. No, not him. They said they killed him. They told me that they killed him, and they sent pictures of a dead body to myself and my sister. Actually, not even me. They sent me a lot of verbal and audio recordings of like, if you don't do this, if you don't move this money into our account like you promised, we're coming to get you. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill your family. Yeah, they use those words. Like, they should be in prison for the rest of their lives for this. This is extortion. And I looked it up. And when you felt the level of fear that my sister and I felt, it carries a 20-year sentence.
Absolutely. But they got a little more specific than just general threats, didn't they? They were giving specific information about you, your sister, your nephews.
Yeah. So before it got scary, it was all lovey. And I was telling Luis about my life because we talked for years, and I thought he was my person. And I'd gotten to where I felt closer and more comfortable with him. So I started telling him about my nephew's birthday parties or how things were going at my house. And
So he knew the family pretty well. Do you think the picture they showed you was actually Louise?
no, not at
Okay.
all.
So Louise is still well, living, walking.
I hope not. I hope he's dead.
Okay.
I think he's still alive. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
So,
he's well. He might not, he's alive, but I don't think he's well.
so
I
you
think
go,
he probably was beat up because of the mistake or whatever. I think there were gangs involved that he was punished somehow. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever know, but I stopped talking to him, and then they run like a business, like a well-oiled machine. So
they
my
do.
case, my job was moved from here, not romancing her anymore. Let's extort. We need to get this money. We need to line her up as like in a way where she'll keep giving us money, extortion, whatever we have to use. Like, this is no longer romantic.
So now it's fear. It's fear against you. It's fear against your family. How long did that go on for?
Well, I was just going to say love and fear are like two of the emotions that'll make us do crazy things. And I wanted to protect my family more than me. Like, I didn't really care about me. I wanted to get myself away from North Carolina. So I left, and I was hoping that maybe by leaving, I would draw them towards me. But my sister was there alone, and she had to leave her house with 2 small children. Horrible.
These threats were repeated. They were constant. It went on for a while.
Yeah. So I went to the police after I got back from my out-of-town trip. I went to the police so September 14th, there was the first death threat. And then I went to the police immediately. That's right. And she went to the FBI immediately on the 14th. And we stopped talking I never responded. My sister responded, which got her into if something like this ever happens to you or anybody you know, just best thing to do is not respond. That's what the cops told me. That's what I wish I had been able to tell my sister. They even sent a scary message to my stepmom, and she didn't respond, and they didn't follow up with her. But my sister, because she responded, because she didn't know that it wasn't real, and I didn't know that it wasn't real. I guess I should have told her, hey, you might get a really scary message. It's totally fake.
Well, you didn't know at the time. It's not like you live through this every day. I mean, this is something completely new. So let me understand this, Jen, because I'm trying to pull this all together. We're out roughly 300 and some odd thousand. It is sitting in your account. We'll touch that in a minute. You've had to sell your home, so you're living with family. And then their threats moved you and your sister out of an area in which you grew up in. You had to basically go on the run to try to get away from these people. Is that correct? Gosh, that's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, I thought they were going to kill us. I mean, I just really did. I really didn't know. Some of the phone numbers that were contacting me had South Carolina zip code, area codes, and Texas and California. And
they're slick. Yeah, they're very slick. So, but you still have the money in your account, correct?
Yeah.
So the money's still sitting in your account, which is good. FBI's involved. What did you find out about that money that was sent to your account?
So the FBI was like, this is not your money, right? It's not yours. You can't keep it. I don't care how you got it. You have to give it back. We're going to make you give it back. So
give it back where?
I just told them where the transfer came from. It was a escrow company in Rhode Island. The FBI agent looked it up, contacted them. They said what happened was they were closing a deal for this lady. She was a single mom, ironically similar to my sister, and she was closing a deal on her house. She had just sold her house, and she was like, yay, $319,000 is going to be mine. I can pay off my loan and feed my family better. I mean, I'm making some of this up because I don't know her personally, but that is essentially the story. She sold her house and the money ended up in the escrow, but it went into my account because the scammer intercepted it through a simple email and said, I'm the boss here and I'm telling you, we're going to put it in this account. Actually, I need you to put it in this other account when the deal closes. And they did.
And working in real estate myself, my organization that I work for, we probably see this a half a dozen times a year, where they basically, to our viewers, what they do, and if you're buying a house, be very careful with this, they are looking through your Gmail, your Yahoo account. If there's any mention of escrow, a closing, buying a house, they're following the path. And then what they're basically doing is notifying your escrow company, acting like yourself, giving their account information. So when settlement's closed, they wire the money to this false account, thinking they're wiring it to your account. So please be careful. That goes on. I see it more and more every day. And I'm not sure, Jen, but I think that's probably what happened here.
Well, yeah, this is what happened. And what's happening is that the scammers are getting more savvy and sophisticated, and they're going after the bigger amounts. And that's what I want to educate people about. It's not like gone are the days of the little $100 gift card scams, but those are for the amateurs. The guys, the big players, they're interested in getting these hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars transferring. And where would somebody make a big sale or purchase like that? Well, a car, but it would have to be a really expensive car. Or houses. How about houses? How about we do this with houses, house sales? So it's the best these things can get through, especially with AI and deepfake voiceovers. All you have to do is just get a copy of my voice or your voice for a couple seconds, and then AI can say on a phone call, "Hey, this is Jennifer. I'm about to sell my house, and I just wanted you to know I opened a new bank account. Here's the information. When it comes time to close escrow, I'd just like it to go into here instead of there." Meanwhile, the scammer is saying all of this, and it goes into the wrong hands, and the person who sells their house never gets their money.
Absolutely. And I see it firsthand. We had one last year, it was $800,000. Thank God the FBI was able to track it and pull it back, but that would have devastated this family. So,
Totally. It would have devastated this woman, and the FBI did get involved with me and got her money back to her. So I'm glad it didn't go back to the scammers. That would have been the last thing I would want to. But I was hoping to keep it.
well, Jen, that says a lot for your character and your kindness. You did not want to see what happened to you happen to this poor single mom in Rhode Island who was trying to better her life. So I really commend you for that. I mean, that was such a just caring act. It really was. I give you so much credit for that. All right, now here's
No
the fun
feelings
part.
wrong. No matter who you are, even if you're a victim who's stealing to get it back, that's still stealing in I don't know. I'm slightly religious, more spiritual than anything. I just believe in karma. And like, if I'm going to steal from somebody, that makes me no different from these scammers. I feel like there's other ways for me to make money and that don't involve stealing.
Absolutely. And you feel better when you make it, honestly. There's no doubt about it. But here's the part where the story takes a great turn. You decide, and I can tell by talking with you, all the businesses you own, you're a go getter. And I can imagine this, you would sit in bed at night and this wouldn't sit right with you. So you decide you want to find out more about these people and you enroll in cyber school for a degree in cybersecurity. Is that correct? Tell me about that.
Well, it's not a degree, it's a certification, which is
Okay.
really good too. But a degree is like, and you have a master's, which is awesome. I would love to have a master's in cybersecurity. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
It's funny, when I went to get my master's, I was known as the real estate in the program, real estate agent in the program. And everyone's like, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. But I give you credit. It's very tough. It's not an easy road. It's not.
It's not an easy road at all. Like I was, I was triggered. Like one of our classes talked about specifically what I had been through. Romance scams and the crypto scams and pig butchering. And it was really hard to sit there in those classes and listen to what I had already been through. And had I known ahead of time, I could have protected my own self. But since I couldn't, and it was already hindsight, I could protect others. So that's the main motivation for doing it.
So you're gaining all these tools like I did. And I was amazed at what I learned in cyber school, what I was able to do. Were you able to track down your scammers?
With the help of, no, not track down the scammers exactly, but the FBI helped me find their IP addresses and locate them in this countries, Nigeria and South Africa and Cyprus, Greece, or Cyprus, it's not Greece, but Cyprus, country of Cyprus near Greece, and one other place, I can't remember, I think Ghana.
Okay.
So a lot of Africa, a little bit of Europe, and no mention of Dubai.
Ironically. So the FBI actually turned over IP addresses to you? Really?
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
I would not expect that at all. I commend them. All right.
I was
So
really scared. I was really scared. That's like why he did it, I think. Like I was like, please tell me, am I gonna live another day? Like, I don't know. Like for weeks I went into my house, just walked into my house and was like, if you're here and this is my last statement, I would like to say you guys suck before you kill me. I would walk into my house. They told me it was horrible.
It's horrible. I mean, it could make you insane. All right. So you've got these IP addresses. What did you do?
Well, like I saved everything, phone numbers, emails, conversation. Yeah, I tried to document what had happened to me because I was snapped out of the lull that I was in, the gnosis. the state of hypnosis. Yeah, the hypnotic state. I was snapped out with those death threats and everything. I was snapped out. Changed my phone number on the 15th, and I left town for a few days.
Wow.
And then, a few days after I got back, there was a hurricane in North Carolina that was really, really bad. So it was like a triple whammy.
I think I remember the hurricane you're talking about. Left people stranded for weeks.
Yeah. Then that was happening to me. So it was like a little more. It was way more than a person should or have to or ever have to handle. It was like more.
Absolutely.
More than I don't really know how I was okay. I think I was in shock for a long time, and then I moved into fairly like suicidal down place, like down, very down, sad, negative. But I moved to another state. I don't know if I should say where, but
No,
I'm
leave
in
that to
another
yourself.
state. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not in North Carolina anymore. The best thing about moving is that I guess it has made me feel safer, but I've been able to get back on my feet a little bit. I do feel safe in that I know now with the cybersecurity awareness, with the FBI and the cops and the stories from all these other people that there is no one coming to get us. No one is coming to come. They're not going to get on an airplane and like.
But they're not going to risk hurting great money chain that they have going on. They're not going to risk it. But tell me about the part.
They're not going to do it ever. That is not their tactic. That's not
exactly.
That's not the
it's just threatens and intimidation. Tell me about the tactic. You had a conversation with a scammer. Tell me how that went and how you found this guy.
The bad guy.
Yes.
The really bad guy. Well, I could just tell he had no like moral compass, no empathy, probably sociopath, psychopath. You know, he was also very young. Like I saw his picture of the real person. I've sent it to I've given all this to the FBI and the IC3 when I've reported it.
And just so we don't confuse our viewers, excuse me, this is all you doing tracking work behind the scenes that you were able. Was this one of the scammers that was involved in the cartel or the organization that was pulling the scam against you?
Yeah. There were. It's a spider web of bad guys. There's such a network, and it's so complex because there were 3 people that I was talking to, and then 3 people who were death threatening me, and then there was a 4th, and then a lady. And I mean, I don't even know like how many different people were involved. But when I was finally able to trace the Bitcoin with breadcrumbs is one of the ways I was able to trace it, and I worked with my FBI agent traced it, and also a company out of Australia called Michael Rexfield is a really amazing Bitcoin tracer, and he wasn't able to get any of my money back. Still to this day, I've gotten nothing, not a penny back because it's all been spent, and there's no way to get it back unless they were to like find these specific people and arrest them and freeze their assets and get it back to me and prove that it's them. But I don't think it's going to be provable because they change their IP, they change their addresses pretty regularly. They like to stay hidden. So a Bitcoin, if you've ever seen a Bitcoin address, it's like 25 characters, numbers, letters, characters. It is very, very hard it's a needle in a haystack to get that exact one. And when they want to change it up, maybe from one week or month to the next, they just ask for a new one and it generates a whole new one.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So even if they've arrested these guys in like maybe possibly Operation Serengeti, which was an arrest that they made of 1,200 people in the countries that I mentioned, and they were able to see they being the FBI and Interpolice, seized almost $300 million. Some of that may be mine, very, very possibly, or related to mine, but the
$300 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
In one raid.
Yeah. So imagine what else is out there, what they could get back.
And they anticipate it's going to grow every year to almost $1 trillion a year is what they're anticipating. I think by 2032. I couldn't believe that number. It was staggering. All right. So I got to hear about this conversation. So we can't really get into the specifics of how you track this person down because I don't want to, if you were in a gray area, I don't want to call you out on it. But tell me, so you get a hold of the scammer. Tell me about the conversation.
This was Eric. So back to the first guy. He just called me out of the blue. I think it was weighing heavily on his conscience. I don't know.
He had a conscience?
Probably not.
No way.
this is the confusing thing. So it's actually called a secondary scam. So
Yes.
a scammer will tell you who they really are, and then they'll start the scam right back up again.
Okay.
This is who I really am. I'm just a young guy trying to make it. I'm in South Africa. I'm in Johannesburg. I'm trying to protect my sisters from from jobs that they don't need to be doing. And I want to do better for my life and for my family. And, oh, poor me. And I cut him off right there because I was like, look, there is no way I'm going to send you another penny. Not only that, but I don't love you, and I won't, and I hate you, and I wish nothing but the worst for you because of what you did to me.
Understandable.
Stealing is never right.
Absolutely.
I shoot poisoned arrows at them in my imagination at night, with
I bet they're big arrows. All right, so let me ask you, Jen, what advice would you tell someone who is currently talking to someone online and something feels off? What would you say to these people?
Well, there's always the classic statement that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But and I say that with a caveat because when you're in these romance scams, that statement won't wake you up. That statement won't work. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah, whatever. I'm in love with this person. They're in love with me. So how about this? Let's get even deeper. Can you FaceTime with them? Can you make an actual physical face-to-face meeting? If you can't meet them in person within 3 days, drop it.
Agree. 72 hours is a good rule of thumb, and I've heard that over and over again from people that have been scammed because there are AI deepfakes even for FaceTime where all of a sudden the signal is lost. You don't really get to converse.
Yeah.
So what would you say some of the red flags that you see now that you should have seen back then? And I'm asking you that because I'm hoping it'll help some of our viewers.
They do try to isolate you from your friends and family. They try to tell you things like, don't share about this romantic thing that we have until I'm there because I want us to celebrate it all together with your family and everybody be happy all at once. Don't talk to your friends and family about us. Don't talk about me. So I would say to talk about it with others. Don't isolate yourself. What isolating yourself does is it creates these chemicals in your brain that this person that you're talking to is the only one you can trust and that they manipulate you. That's one of their tactics. If they find a person they can manipulate, they will. And you're vulnerable. You're made more vulnerable by being isolated. So get out, do things in the real world, go talk to people, go meet people. Don't isolate.
That is great advice, Jennifer. And Jen, I know you were very nervous coming on today because before we started rolling, you're like, I hope I don't screw this up. I want to give you an A+. You were awesome today. And your story was probably the most tragic story that I've heard to date. And it took a lot of courage to come on. Okay. Jennifer, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story because this takes courage. It is one thing to admit that you were emotionally manipulated. It's another thing to talk publicly about losing money, about selling your house, about being pulled into something that involved money laundering, money movement, and then also having law enforcement involved, aka the FBI, and then being threatened when you tried to stop the money laundering. So Jennifer, thank you so much. Your story matters. I can imagine over the life of the story as it's posted out on YouTube, it might be posted for 14 years. You may end up saving 1,400 people their life savings. And I just want to tell you, your story matters. Thank you so much for being with us.
I do also, I want to say that because I've become really good friends with a lot of other survivors. We call ourselves survivors, not victims. And everybody's story matters. Every single person matters. Everybody who, no matter how much or little they lost, it was everything to them. It was their money and it was stolen. So there's a betrayal and a heartbreak. So mine maybe, yes, is more complicated. It has a lot of moving parts and would be a good movie.
Oh, it'd be a great movie. But Jen, I'll tell you, you're a resilient person. We talked a little bit before the cameras rolled about some of the investments you're in now, some of the businesses. And I'll tell you, I have a feeling you're going to make this back tenfold. I really do. I have a lot of faith in you. So thank you again for being on the show. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. I want to thank our viewers for listening on the podcast, watching on the YouTube channel. And I will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Dating to Win. If you're serious about improving your dating game, don't miss an episode. Hit the subscribe button or go to youtube.com/datingtowin25. Good luck out there. and we'll see you on the next episode of Dating to Win.